Thank you so much for joining us today. Before we kick this off, I do want to point out to the audience that we welcome questions. Please post those questions in the Q&A section at the bottom of your screen. Type them in during today's presentation, and we will address those at the conclusion. So it's my great pleasure to now turn this over to Anup Bhatia, CEO of Nowigence. Anup, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Callie, and thanks everyone for taking the time to be a part of this webinar. Let me just share my screen. And I really don't have too many slides to present today, probably just 2 or 3 more to reinforce the points that I talk, but I would love you to just take 5 to 10 minutes to listen to our story in the field of AI. And how from just a software company, we are growing towards providing solutions for enterprises in the field of AI with both hardware and software as a focus. It's very difficult for any company as a startup to be operating in the field of AI. The capital requirement is huge, and that is why for the first time you are seeing also that the giants are stepping into the field of AI, and they do have the capital and the resources to take this technological frontier and advance it further. So for a small company which is not having a brand presence, it does become difficult. And the story today in the field of AI is a capital. It's a capital story. It's not so much the operational part of it. All these giants are also being asked by Wall Street to demonstrate or to provide proof of what revenue streams are they encountering or they are experiencing with their AI revenue. So to be able to kind of invest in the field of AI, we have also been with the SEC, and we have been with our audited financials right from 2017, the first year when we made our investments in the field of AI. And again, there were, I did mention it the last couple of calls before also, that our genesis lay in extractive AI, not so much the generative AI. Our focus was that we do want to extract ideas from any documents that we read. It's a part of a research work that we do virtually in every function. Without research and without substantiation, you really cannot prove any points or present your points. So with that, our focus was extractive AI. We just wanted to kind of differentiate between ideas as they changed or as they updated or as they grew from just their origin to whatever practical products that the world believed in and used. So it was that entire journey that we've been taking, and all our financials, all our growth stories, all our acquisitions, all our mergers are there on sec.gov, and I will show you what recently are the updates from our side. We will talk a little bit about financial overview. For us, the story was from virtually $0 to where we are today. And we are looking to list on NASDAQ once, of course, the government resumes operation. At this moment, there are delays at the SEC just because of the government shutdown. And we'll talk again about the products and services that we are bringing forward to the world. And again, I would say that keep the backdrop that we are nobodies in the field of the major giants that you know of in the company. And yet, from 2017 to now, we have actually a pretty remarkable story of growth, tenacity to be in this field of AI, developments which have got us revenues, growth to the extent that we feel confident that we would be listing on a primary US stock exchange. So you can see the filings that are there on sec.gov. We are registered with NASDAQ under the stock ticker NOWG. The recent filing that we had was a 1A position filing, which we are updating since we were a Reg A company even way back in 2022, but then way back in 2020, but then with COVID and also certain aspects of growth, we decided to become a private company for a period of about 9 months, and we are now relisting again because we are very confident of our growth trajectory now. A lot of the filings, again, you can go back right from 2018 when we first began filing. And as I said, when we submitted our 2018, we had 2017 financials, which was the first year when we were investing. Quick overview of the financials, audited financials that we have from 2024. We grew in revenues and we reduced in operating losses. We've invested a lot in the very beginning of this year on product. We got new promoters and we were able to invest in a substantial amount and to accelerate the delivery of our products from a period of March onwards. And our shareholder equity is a little over $7 million now. And we are stable. We are now, from a cash perspective, we've got the operating cash. We've got a pretty large runway now to execute on commercializing our products. We did introduce the products earlier on, and you can see that there was a growth in revenues, more from the software side, but we are soon to announce our partnership also with one of the largest hardware AI GPU manufacturer. And we are kind of building a product with them, and this would be an announcement probably in the fourth quarter. So going forward, what are the products that we have with us? And I'm gonna not show the slide. I just want you to just listen to how we, from a software side, went to even the hardware side, and what exactly are we trying to do in this field of products. So to begin with, our focus was extractive AI. Our focus was to dig out nuggets from just about any documents that we were reading. We didn't have generative AI or any of these platforms that you hear about, ChatGPT or Gemini, at the time when we started. And we had to develop our own infrastructure, read documents, find out the nuance between an idea, a sub-idea, cluster the ideas, make it available so that when you're talking on a certain topic, you do get your 2 or 3 main ideas and you are able to kind of then dig deep and connect those ideas to this, to the details that you are actually seeking as you are developing your concepts. And every function in the company has a certain backend work which requires research, because without research, there's no substantiation, there's no knowledge, there is no way that you can prove or you can present your point in any convincing manner. With that platform that we were developing, we found that we could go into yield optimization, mining, retail, including greenhouses, farming, every sector was seeking productivity, and they were seeking the combination of not only what was happening in the field of research for them, but also on how to operate their plants. What is it that the data is showing? What is it that the analysts are saying? In a mining industry, what is it that the people driving these uh, capital, huge machineries in order to take the ore from the mouth of the mines to wherever, the supply chain, what is it that the drivers were kind of having problems because of which they couldn't, do more deliveries than what they were entitled to. And that wasn't only an issue in mining, it's also the issue in greenhouse farming as to how does a farmer who's running a greenhouse of anywhere between 300 to 400,000 square feet, how do they run around their entire greenhouses to control the 30 to 35 variables? Or how does the farmer know that in the month of March of 2024 was the time when he got the best yield, and can he replicate those situations again? Does he really know the interconnectivity of all these variables in order to get to the same yield point? And like that, you can take that story of, connectivity, looking at data repeatedly. You do have data available in this world, but can that data be mined? So we looked into a yield optimization site, and that also interfaces with an IoT platform, because if you're getting a data feed coming directly from the instrument, you're already interfacing AI with IoT. And that is what we do in the field of agriculture. Now, as we were going through, and as you were also hearing stories in the market, we were talking about how coding could be taken up by AI. And amongst the coders, you've always, you have the front-end coders and you've got the back-end coders. In the field of AI, the back-end coders are with Python. The front-end coders, use a whole plethora of different languages to give you the user interface by which you interact with that product. Now, Replit.com, it's about a $3 billion valuation company. They just, that was the valuation. It's in the private sector. That's the valuation that they have when they went for a recent investment of $280 million. Again, tells you the kind of scale of investments that's needed to kind of grow an AI company. And they're growing aggressively, and right at their heel is also Bold.ai. And Bold.ai is valued at about 800 million. Also a recent entrant, but looking to gain a little under $100 million in investment. And we also looked at a platform which was in the field of fintech. We have one of our sister companies which is also trying to do an end-to-end payment portal solution within 5 minutes, where the banking related, the entire transaction is completed cross borders within 5 minutes. So we looked at that, and we came across a company in Indonesia, a platform that we thought was very good. And it basically, you can converse with that platform, and you could interject or incorporate that payment portal into any software that you were developing. And we acquired this platform in exchange of stock that is already announced in the market. And we have been upgrading that platform also extensively in order to be in competition with companies like Replit and Bold.ai, where we are already in the fintech market with another sister companies of ours. So from that perspective, we've got the leverage to enter into the market. And this product is going to be, we are virtually at the point where 80% of the work that used to be done by UI and UX developers can be done by just conversing with this platform, and we call it as Nowg.ai, very similar to the stock ticker that I showed you, NOWG. So we just pronounce it as Nowg. And this platform is then developing your applications, your webs. And this is going to be introduced into the market in November. Now, the third platform that we are now, I can go to the product slide. You will understand this better now. I talked about the IoT interface. Then you have a platform which is for enterprises. If you have what we call as Nowg.ai, which is a conversational agent to develop any of your apps, any of your webs. And in order to do that, you do need some research as to what are you going to, how are you going to benchmark your competition? How are you going to, or even if you're in the field of healthcare and you're in the field of clinical research, you've got multiple documents that you have to read. And in that area of, let's call it disease, tuberculosis, you got to keep track of whatever is developing in that field day in and day out, and how do you extract ideas as those documents are being as those research papers are being coming out. So you can see that there is Nowg.ai and there's a connection between researchwork.ai. But when we change from the field of tuberculosis and go to, say, brain cancer, for instance, there are certain jargon which the machine has to understand. So from a point of view of being end-to-end solution providers to company, we have a third product which is coming on as Tagion.ai, and this has data labelers from over about 180 countries in different languages, in different levels of skills and budgets. You can get people at $2 per hour for data labeling, or you could get people at a very high price of $80 per hour, depending upon the skill set, depending upon the ability to kind of get the jargon by using researchwork.ai, which again is going to bring out ideas and the understanding behind that idea. So your labeling work is going to be more accurate, which kinds of takes care of your budget overlay. And as you are developing your data labeling, you naturally are looking at also data centers, because you want to be not only conscious of your cost as you're developing your software, but if you want to operationalize AI, you also have to be at a pretty optimum level of cost. And to our benefit, of course, we've got our Chief Technology Officer, who is based out of Dubai currently, would be moving into the US soon. But he was also instrumental in bringing a lot of productivity in the telecom industry. And when you saw your phone, the cost of telephoning reduce all over the world, it was mostly related to the value-added services productivity that the telecom sector did. 20 years ago, it wasn't even possible to call India from the United States, but now you can do it, at any minute. So you then are coming into why we are getting into the hardware side. And of course, this would be in a partnership with one of the major GPU suppliers of the world. And you also look into our proficiency of bringing a conversational agent to a no-code platform, which is what is Nowg.ai. We are also dealing with accents. We are dealing with the way you interact conversationally with a product platform in order to develop your apps. So at that moment, you've got an AI call center, and you also look at it and say, beyond that, there is also another component that if at all you're going into enterprises currently, they do have an outsourcing of their IT functions. And now, as AI solutions are being brought, and we've got the competence from one end of the spectrum to the other end of the spectrum to provide, then we can also provide any kind of back-end staffing help that they would need as per the cost and as per the location that they seek. So these are the 5 sectors under which we are actually developing ourselves. And to the, what we feel, we're very confident about this strategy. We are doing trials with major companies in all these different fields. And as we get into November, you'll be hearing more and more about us in the press. And I hope you will keep track of us. From an investment perspective, if you were to ask me, like, do we have needs for any CapEx? No, we don't. We have a pretty large runway from a capital perspective. We've got very strong promoters. So as we go forward, you will also learn more about who the promoters are for us. From a point of view of penetration into the market, our fintech company is close to about $300 million. We've got the timeline from NASA where our first low orbit satellite to affect that payment portal in 5 minutes would be launched the test launch would be in April. And we are scheduling a 40 low orbit satellite launch later on. We are in the field of energy management, which is basically producing energy from organic waste. And that data centers are are big energy consumers. So with us being in the field of energy, we are looking at a very cost efficient operational point where we don't have to depend on the grid also. And we are in the last mile logistics in a lot of different Asian countries with another sister company. AI call centers or call centers, we've got a pretty large exposure to, and that's where most of our technology or precision as we go into conversational agent with Nowigence AI, a lot of that, a lot of the precision and accuracy is coming because of the fact that we've been in this field. So this, in a nutshell, is Nowigence. From a point, I would say that AI is going to come in through us as part of the products which are existing within the energy, the supply chain, the agriculture, as well as the data centers that we've been running earlier. And then our software would also be introduced into the market for people to subscribe, pay as per usage. And these software products will take a little longer time. That's our expectation. And we think that revenue stream will grow slowly in the very first half of 2026. But given at least the test runs that we are experiencing, we expect that the traction would be much stronger thereafter. That's all that I had, Callie.
Okay, I'm going to ask you to stop sharing your screen and we will cover a few of the questions that have come in. So can you just talk a little bit more how your approach to AI is different from OpenAI, Google, and other big tech?
It's a question of when did we start. At the time when we started in 2017, there was no OpenAI, or we hadn't heard of it. I don't know whether you had. But that was generative AI. With generative AI, and I'll give you a simple example that on the 21st, which is today, we were filing a POS statement. And it's close to about 111 pages document that we filed with the SEC. And I am not a Edgar filer. But just as a trial, I went into ChatGPT and I asked ChatGPT, hey, remove my nested files. Because with nested files, you cannot file in the, with the, you can't file a Edgar. So, of course, there was, a professional team was taking care of it. This was just an experiment. But ChatGPT did an excellent job. It basically removed the nested file, gave me the files back again, and I went and started reviewing. But as I was reviewing the document just to see, how good ChatGPT performed, I came to know that a lot of paragraphs had got gobbled up, a lot got replaced. There were certain lines in the tables which never reappeared in the in the document that ChatGPT went through. Numbers inside the tables got changed, and I do not know the source of the table or the source of those numbers. So the document I got back was a hallucinated document. Now, if you're focusing before OpenAI or any of these generative programs, yes, the English was perfect. But beyond English, there is substance. And for substance, you need extractive AI. And for extractive AI, you just can't have models which are differentiated or which an OpenAI model, you ask a question, it gives a different answer to what Gemini or Claude did. So now when you're going into the field of extractive AI, how do you make sure that the answer that you provide out of extractive AI actually is the same, unless, of course, an idea has developed, changed, and then you have a different answer coming through. So where is the substance? Where are the details? It's in extractive AI. Where is a generic answer? That's in generative AI. But having said that, there are lots of good elements which generative AI is coming up. And again, I may take a little more time to explain, like when we were dealing with, in just around 1890s, radiation came as a cure in healthcare. And radiation was used for cancer treatment because a large population of the patients could get cured because of radiation. But there was another parallel theory which was also being floated by one of the MIT professors, that you need to personalize and you need to kind of customize the radiation to be precise to cure some of the cancers that standard radiation could not cure. But that is a very expensive treatment as compared to standard radiation for cancer treatment. So the world adopted chemotherapy with its malaces and its benefit, but it became a cost-effective cure rather than personalizing each individual patient's chemotherapy. But we are coming to that stage now because of AI. We are coming to that personalization form. It again depends, you've got to read a lot of data, you've got to research a lot of things, you've got to extract a lot of ideas, you've got to collect them, you've got to present them, and that's the field that we come in.
Great. Thank you. So how large is the opportunity in each vertical? For example, manufacturing, financial services, consulting, and what share do you believe that you can realistically win?
So if we just look at agriculture as one field, the opportunity just in the field of India is said to be 30 billion. It's just India. We don't take any other country into account. It's got sunlight, it's got its ways of agriculture. When you translate it across the world, it's a large opportunity. Now, we believe that the market by 2029 would be upwards of $12 trillion, and AI would be seeping into virtually every legacy product. It is doing it even today. That is the opportunity. Now it's a question of, and you ask me, what's the share that we are looking at of, there are companies, for us, again, we don't have a brand presence. Microsoft answering that question in terms of, hey, we'll be earning 30% of the market share. They can easily do it. For us, yes, we would have to, a lot depends upon our execution, but we are hopeful. We are basically looking at, all our developments. We've kind of seen ourselves grow from 2017 to where we are now. We are still at pace with the market. We are still developing and actually evolving very strongly in the way we looked at the AI segment with extractive AI way back in 2017. We've seen a lot of storms with generative AI, and we've seen some of the benefits that Gen AI offers. And we again have our own way of looking at extractive AI, which again gives you that personalization at an economic value. When I talked about cancer, you can take it to the field of how we can develop apps at a very cost-effective way. So we are looking at a pretty large market also. We grew nearly, from a very small revenue. You can always have 7-8 times growth. But we are looking next year to be upwards of $30 million in revenue.
Thank you. And what partnerships do you need to develop to bring together IoT, data centers, and AI for your yield optimization programs?
We looked at partners. So yes, when you look at greenhouse manufacturers, you've got one of the largest one is in Canada. And recently, of course, because of the trade tariffs, they could not be, because of some of the barriers in trade, they were accumulating inventory in Canada rather than supplying North America with their greenhouses. So, you look at greenhouse manufacturers, you've got also in Amsterdam, you've got it in Texas too. You look at partnerships where glass or plastics, even if they have an ability to retain or cool depending upon the environment of even small, there's a lot of research going on between how to conserve energy within greenhouses. Greenhouses are very large consumers of energy. So a small fraction of improvement results in a lot of improvement dollars. And we're looking at, again, working with some of these glass or plastic manufacturers in order to kind of conserve energy. The IoT interface, the IoT devices are not very expensive, but the way the data has to be accumulated, the way the data has to be processed, stored, the infrastructure cost, till what level do you retain it? What do you actually read? How does the micro weather of the greenhouse? So, you may look at weather and say, my greenhouse is in Pittsburgh, but the Pittsburgh weather is not the one which is controlling the 30 variables within this greenhouse, which is located in a very small, narrow 1-acre plot somewhere around Pittsburgh. So how do you get the micro weather around that to influence your settings within the greenhouses, and how do you control that in a predictive manner in order to optimize your yield? Part of it is known, part of it we are learning, and we are learning very quickly. And part of it is going to evolve as technology becomes faster with the development. So there's a lot of moving parts over here, various partnerships, right from the micro weathers to the satellites to the pace at which data is coming back to us, how AI is storing. There are lots of components over here just to pick up agriculture as the sector.
Thank you. And can you share what your views are on any exit options, strategic acquisitions, anything like that?
So I never talk without substantiation. Part of my thinking, part of the way I look at markets. So when I looked at the BI industry, 2008, 2009, you had the SAS, you had MicroStrategy, you had various companies that were at that time looking at data, and presentation was their focus. And you look at a company like Looker, which got bought by Google around that time frame, maybe 2011, 2012, and they got acquired at nearly 2.4 billion when the revenues were close to about 100 million. So when we look at our strategy, and again, BI was then an upcoming industry, and BI means business intelligence. That was an upcoming industry at that time. And I look at AI, which is again an emerging tech frontier. But naturally, BI was about presentation. AI is about intelligence, and it has a much more longer product life cycle than what a BI industry would have. And I look at that and I say it gives you two exit strategies. You can be like Looker, where you become a part. There are only 10 or 12 companies which are going to make it big in the field of AI, beyond the tech giants, which, and apparently if you study Amazon, for instance, Amazon was a nobody, but it is somebody today. So a tech frontier provides that kind of an opportunity where you can survive in the stock market, and yes, you can become very big. Amazon also entered at that time. It was a kind of an unregulated financial market, but it came in at a revenues of about $1.5 billion and was growing rapidly. But 10 years later, it became a big company. So you can be like Amazon, or you can be like Looker, where you sell yourself off to a bigger company. I do not know. We'll have to evaluate options as we get them, but could be two possible scenarios right here.
Great. Well, thank you very much. And thank you to the audience for the questions. Nowigence will have all of your information and will be reaching out. Anoop, I do want to turn it back over to you for any final words before we close out today.
Well, if nothing else, the support that you can do is put NOWG, the stock ticker, and you will hear stories about us. We are going in for investment relation, as well as we do have a product launches coming up soon. So if nothing else, and you just want to kind of understand how a startup in a tech frontier, make us your case study, and we hope that you will benefit from it.
Great. Well, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Anoop, and I hope everyone has a great day.